and welcome to Black Cats Chat, the official Sunderland AFC international fans podcast. For international fans, of course, and we've got three more international fans. This is the third podcast, season review podcast in 2 days because I've done like loads recently. So today we've got two more NASA members, SAFC NASA members. First of all, we've got Jonathan Ed Williams. He's originally from Edmonton in Canada, but now he's in Hull, of all places, in England. Jonathan, how's it going in Hull?
It was very, very rainy today. Other than that, it's good.
Yeah, are you eating plenty of Yorkshire puddings?
Yes, quite a few.
Good man. And we've also got his SFC NASA counterpart. It's my good friend Max Gard. He's in Denver, Colorado. He's in the office, but he's whipped up his Sunderland shirt. He whipped on his Sunderland shirt, and here he is. Max, how are you, mate?
Lee, always a pleasure to be here. Good to see you.
Brilliant to have you on, mate, as well. And we've got La Liga's finest commentator in English. It's Dermot Ledwith in Madrid. How are you, Dermot?
Very good, Lee. Nice to be back on here again to talk about what a fantastic season Sunderland have just had. And we'll be talking all things Europe as well, I guess.
Yeah, and I bet you've got some contacts, mind, haven't you? If we get drawn against a Spanish team away, you'll have some good contacts to get tickets, I imagine.
I'll be looking for tickets for, you're up next to Real Sociedad as well, aren't you? So it could be
Yep.
Real Sociedad or Celta Vigo. I would fancy either of those two.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of others as well, Braga and Benfica, which are driving distance for me and you anyhow.
Yeah, not too far, or a cheap flight as well. I mean, plenty of cheap flights. But anyway, you have a chat with Sid Law at The Guardian and see if we can get something sorted.
I see him now and again.
Right.
I can. Yeah. Celta Vigo, I fancy. But anyhow, we'll talk about that, I'm sure.
We will. Right then. So, listen, Jonathan, I want to start with you because you've been a Sunderland fan since the late 90s. You probably started supporting Sunderland when we were actually good in that first season in the Premier League with Quinny and Phillips. And it's
hmm
taken, what, 26 years, 27 years to get back to that level. It's been a long hell of a journey, hasn't it?
Little did I know that the first 2 years I would watch this club, it would get to seventh, and that would be the last time they would get to seventh till this year. It's been a long old road. So whenever people talk about oh, you're from away, you must not know anything about it. It's like, dude, I've been here longer than most of you people, so I don't know what to tell you. And it's been exciting. I don't know what else to say. I think like everybody else, it was very emotional at the end of the game, watching the fans basically bawl their eyes out. I was pretty much there too. It was amazing, and beating Chelsea for the second time this year just makes it even better. You know, along with the visitors, it's like our big sweep. So I'm good with both of those. So that worked out quite well. And then finishing seventh, which Lord knows I had no concept that was ever going to happen. So, and then Europe on top of it. How can you beat that?
Unbelievable. I mean, Max, for you, it must be surreal because I think your story's a little bit different. I think you kind of came on board as a result. Was it the documentary that you kind of watched? I don't know if it was a bit before.
No, it was the Chelsea game in May of 2016 where I was just randomly channel surfing and said, "This is my team now." So it's been 10 years. Started supporting the team, and of course, they had that horrible season where they finished dead last in the Prem and then relegated again, and then all those years in League One. So this is the nadir of my fandom in terms of where the team's been. The majority of my fandom has been spent, in League One or in the Championship. So agreed with Jonathan that, seventh place in the Prem. I mean, you couldn't have written it up. It's a total fever dream.
Yeah. Was that Chelsea and was that the one where Barini and Defoe scored? Was
Correct.
it?
3-2 over Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was the second to last game of the season. And, um, seeing the fans going crazy, I was like, wow, these guys must have really won something big. And it was like, oh, they showed the standings. Like it got them into 17th. And I said, these fans are going nuts because they're the fourth worst team in the league. This has got to be something I get into here. It's easy to root for the big six and the London teams and all that stuff. But I fell in love with the team because the fans got under my skin.
Yeah, you love an underdog, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Dermot, for you, mate, you're from Sunderland. I mean, what, you were born, 70s, late 70s, I would say?
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was born 1973, Lee.
Oh,
About
there you
three
go.
months, 3 months before the cup final. I wanted to watch it on the TV, but my mother took me to the park in the pram. No, I was 3 months old, and yeah, just you just made me think there. I mean, these two guys here had choices. Me and you didn't have a choice, did we? We were just kind of born into it.
Yeah.
Um, and you just made me think there that two seventh places back at the end of the last century when Jonathan joined us, and the seventh place this year. That's as good as it's got in 50 odd years for me. Um, doesn't get. I mean, that's sadly that is as good as it gets. I don't know. I don't know if we can top it really. It'd be
Mm.
Of
very
course we
hard.
can.
We can win
We
the
could
league.
top
What are
it
you
by
talking about? Come on.
we could top it
Win
by winning the
Europa next
Europa
year.
League, but yeah, that could top it. But
hmm
it does put it into perspective, that there's only 3 seasons out of the last 50 that we've got to seventh, and it's only seventh as well, and we
I
could go
mean,
higher. But
yeah.
yeah, fantastic season, beating the Mags twice. Just blew everyone out the water, really, and completely exceeded everyone's expectations. What can you say?
Right, I've got a question for all three of you. Give me a straight yes or no. Would you sacrifice relegation to League One again if we do a Leicester and win the league? That's a
Oh,
tough question. Jonathan, go ahead.
so do you mean another bout of League One? Hmm.
But before that, we win the fucking Premier League and then we get relegated twice like
Yeah,
Leicester
but
did.
I do. Yeah, I was about to say I don't really want to be Leicester because I think going down once was bad enough. Going down twice. I mean, they've been down before prior to that years ago, but still, it's like the last thing I want to do is do that again. There's nothing worse than playing those teams in League One and having them basically just try and beat the piss out of us because they can't actually play with the team we have. Like, no, no. I mean, even the league isn't enough to convince me I want to go back to that again. I mean, I was just thinking back that the last time we were this close to seventh was when Steve Bruce was in charge and we were finishing like 10th and we were just happy to
Yeah,
be mid-table mediocrity sort of level.
yeah.
And, it just the idea of going down to League One, ugh. I would be okay if you said the championship, but to do a total Leicester, not really interested in that, no.
Well, you could go to Morecambe or Fleetwood and get fish and chips.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, Sunderland's
Max,
going to come to Hull if I'm still here. I might actually get to watch them in person again.
yeah, yeah. Max, what about you? Would you sacrifice it?
No, I never want to play Cheltenham ever again.
Nope, nope.
I don't want to be
Wickham.
playing Gillingham ever again. Shrewsbury. I don't want to play any of those teams ever again. Some of the low points in my fandom was it was I think like a 1-0 loss at home to Cheltenham. You know, what was it? 2019 to 2020 was it, or maybe 2018 2019?
Something like that.
Just something like that. I never want to go through that again. You're playing on the road in these terrible stadiums where the pitch, the Port Vale level pitches, 5,000 people stadiums, and we get a allocation of 800. Forget it. Not to mention the fact that those games aren't easy to find. League One isn't easy to find in the States. So
Nope, nope,
just being able to watch
nope.
the team. At least I could watch us if we finish 15th in the Prem. At least I get to watch all the games this year. I'm not trying to jerry rig my TV to find some stream illegally to watch us play. You know, at Bolton, who's now in the championship. So yeah, no, I don't need to ever go through League One ever again, Lee.
Yeah, the only
Oh,
time you want to see Cheltenham is on the TV and it's horse racing, right? The Cheltenham Festival.
Yeah, or we get them in the first round of the FA Cup or something like that, where we can just play
yeah.
all of our, play everybody on the bench.
Dermot, what about you, mate?
I'll play devil's advocate. Yeah, of course. Let's do it. I know. And basically, what you said, do a Leicester, do what Leicester have done. Leicester had some fantastic years. They didn't just win the league; they won the FA Cup not long ago. It was only about 4 or 5 years ago they won the FA Cup. I had a
hmm
friend. I've got a friend who's a Leicester fan who lived through all that. I was jealous at the time because we were in League One, or the third tier, as we used to call it, the third division. I remember the third division the first time round back in 1987, 88. I was 14. I went to every game. I was going home and away. Then had some great memories. It's what it is. It's the roller coaster of being a football fan. I guess in North America, perhaps you guys kind of a bit shocked sometimes by the whole relegation business because it's a closed shop, isn't it? In a lot of the US sports, you can't go down just so that that they can plan the budget for the next year. Well, this is the beauty if English football or football all over Europe, really, you can go down and you can um, really struggle and go into the next league. And we nearly saw it this season with Tottenham Hotspur. I think all of England wanted Tottenham Hotspur to go down just to see them struggle in the Championship. That's the beauty of it all. And yeah, I mean, I would take it, Lee, to answer your question. It's the roller coaster of English football, and we're on it now and we're only enjoying it so much now because we had so many years, two leagues behind Newcastle, loads of places behind Newcastle, playing all these teams that you mentioned, Cheltenham and all those teams. I remember us losing on the TV against Cheltenham away only about 5, 6 years ago. I went to the playoff final against Charlton where we lost it in the last minute. I remember being miserable that night in London, just thinking, what a shit show it is supporting Sunderland. So, that's what makes it even better when we do get back and we do that. We do beat, the world champions, Chelsea. We beat them twice this season and beat them on the last day to clinch that seventh place and that place in the Europa Cup. So yeah, that's what it is. It's a roller coaster. It's brilliant. We all love it. That's why we love it. So I'd take it. Yeah, be great.
I'll tell you what makes it better. The fact that we all nodded in acknowledgement when we said we wanted Tottenham to go down. It was like, yeah. Anyway, Jonathan, give me your summarising thoughts on the season as a whole. I mean, from the start of the season, what were your expectations? And then what was the point where you thought, hang on a minute, we can actually do a bit more here?
Well, I remember before the season started, I went looking at the fixture list, and I remember thinking, okay, if we can get to about April and be relatively safe, like the start of April, not the end of April, then we played Man U and Everton and Chelsea, we'd be okay, and it wouldn't be scary, and they wouldn't be on the brink of having, real struggles against, quality sides, and we'd be in, scraping by as we used to do so often. And that was kind of where my thought process was. I was like, hey, if we can finish between 12th to 15th, I think that's an excellent year. I'll take 17th. I don't really care. But as far as the season goes, I think for me, when I saw it and thought, okay, this is different, is that I don't want to say West Ham because I think that was the first sort of surprise, but then we were completely smacked by Burnley the next game. I think it was the Chelsea game. I think at the end of the day, that was the one where it was like, okay, we can hang with bigger sides and we can put them into trouble and we can come back, which I think was the other thing. And that was the theme all season. We got down and we come back. We were the leading team in the entire Premier League. We're coming back from being behind. And I just think realizing that they were able to do that and seeing them winning at home constantly just really built okay, this is not going to be like that. And I also think really the transfer market was another big clue for me when you started to see them spend. And every time you're looking in, various social media and you see Fabrizio's name coming up and, oh, here we go, Sunderland, blah. Like it was mind boggling. Like 14 players in 3 months? Was insane.
I was checking Fabrizio Romano, making sure it was the right account because there's a lot of fake accounts on there.
Exactly.
Couldn't believe that. Max, I mean, at the start of the season, I did a couple of podcasts for another episode, and I got asked my predictions. Now, I tried to keep us as high as possible without looking like a fool, but I did secretly think that given the last 4 years of the progress of the club since Kirill Dreyfus and Speakman, the sporting director, the progress of the club, I thought we can actually do some good work this season. So my expectation was officially 14th, but secretly I was thinking we could finish top 10. What about you?
I thought we would escape relegation. I thought it would be a 15th to 16th place finish. I thought that the transfer window was outstanding, signing great quality players. Obviously, Granit Xhaka is not only the signing of the season, but he might be the best signing in the history of this club. Um, but just because you sign 14 great players doesn't mean they're all going to gel. It doesn't mean they're all going to work with Labris's system. So I thought that it would take a lot more time. I thought that we'd be hanging around the relegation zone. And then maybe around Christmas, we'd start to move up and we'd finish maybe comfortably 15th to 16th. Lee, seventh place in the Europa Cup wasn't even in my wildest dreams. I thought a fantastic season would have been 10th. Seventh isn't even remotely that you know, I had a better chance of growing hair on my head, brother. That's where I thought that was going.
I hear you. I'm with you on that. Yeah. I mean, what you mentioned there, Granit Xhaka signing of the season. One thing, Dermot, is how the fuck did he not win signing of the season? And the Man United goalkeeper won it. Like, what? Robin Roos was better than him.
Mm-hmm.
Granit Xhaka didn't win signing the season. I've seen him mentioned in a lot of the end of the season polls.
Fabrizio Romano confirmed last night. Lamens for Man United won signing of the season. It's like he wasn't even the best keeper signing of the season.
Is there an official signing of the season? I mean,
probably. I mean, if Big Fab's like promoting it, then I guess so.
That's the way football's going, and it's about individuals, but it's not. It's about a team, and we bought 14 players, and about 12 of them worked. I think we bought 14, and if you take off Adingra, and is it
Masuaku,
yeah, everyone else has given something to that team, contributed in a big way. Enzo Lefebvre was a fantastic signing. That was last season. He got us up. You know, he laid on that goal in the last minute against Sheffield United at Wembley as well. So he's been one of the signings as well. But going back to your question about when I thought it was all going to happen, it was coming together, and Jonathan mentioned it as well. I think when we beat Chelsea away, that was obvious then that we had quite a good team. I was at the first game against West Ham at home. That was a great day, beautiful sunny day. Everything went right. We won 3-0. You thought, this isn't going to continue like this. And I managed to get a ticket for Burnley away the next game, and we were crap. So I thought, this is how the season's going to be: win one, lose one. But every time we lost, we bounced back. Until towards the end, I don't think we hardly ever lost 2 games in a row the whole season. So if we did, we might have lost 2 games once, maybe.
I think we lost
for the first.
Didn't we lose?
We lost 3 in a row. That Arsenal, Liverpool, Fulham.
Yeah,
that's when it started to go wrong.
And then Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest.
Yeah,
but
that was about March onwards until the first 6 months of the season were so resilient. And I was back home at Christmas and saw the Man City game. We were so good against Man City, just to draw 0-0 against Man City, who were going for the league and was such a good team. So I mean, there was lots of great performances, but beating Chelsea twice, who are still the world champions, and beating the Mags twice, I think are the biggest ones, aren't they?
Yeah, Jonathan, we have this saying in English football. It comes from Alex Ferguson, the hairdryer treatment, which basically like shouting and raving and getting into and historically, like us Sunderland fans, we used to love that type of thing, didn't we? Like Dermot, you'd probably know this as well. Peter Reid, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing shit, but Reid will get into them at half time. And it's like last season and the season before, it was like, get them in at half time. Regis will get into them. It was like, what's he going to do? Stroke the head? Because he doesn't look like a shouter, does he not?
No, I don't think he is. I think from everything I've heard, he's not. I mean, think of Keane. That's another fine example of somebody who's pretty good for that. But it's pretty well known, I think, by most people, is that he's as soft spoken with the players as he is with the media. Yet I think he's very strategic. He's very cerebral. So he might not like attack, like be loud and gruff, but I think he leaves the players to do that because there's been a lot of talk about a couple of the players basically reading the riot act to the rest of them when things are going poorly. I can just imagine what it was like at the Nottingham Forest game, having unfortunately been in the audience for that one.
Uh,
Um, I'm sure it was not a delightful halftime talk after they basically gave up, what was it, 4 goals by that point. And, but at the same time, they also have guys that keep them up too for similar reasons. But yeah, I've never seen him as one of those types. I think he's way too similar to Arsene Wenger. That's who I kind of see him as. I think that's what he's generally been compared to, and I think it's pretty accurate. Very calm, very cerebral, very much the opposite of Alex Ferguson.
Yeah,
I think for the most part.
man. I like the fact that he doesn't make excuses. As well, he just like basically takes it on the chin. Max, how does he compare to like coaches like of North American sports teams? I mean, what are they like compared to him? Are they kind of like in your face, shouting, making excuses, rowdy, or
that's the impression I would say. I mean, you're going sport to sport. Every personality is different. I would certainly say that in comparison to North American coaches, he's far less animated. And that's not just in basketball and baseball, but also in soccer. That's just his personality. He's Mr. Miyagi. He's a Zen master.
he certainly is, isn't he? Right, Dermot,
Just to add
go
on
on.
Regis Lebris, I think from what we're all saying as well, we all agree he's very calm and strategic thinker and clever kind of coach. And I hope nobody comes and takes him away from us, by the way, this summer. But he's also got, I think he's got a degree or a master's in sports psychology. So, it's not by chance. He tactically knows what he's doing, and he knows how to treat professional athletes. I think it's even something, maybe something even different to that title. It's not just sports psychology. It's like
Le God, basically.
professional. No,
Thank God.
it's basically how to look after elite athletes. It's management of elite. He's got like a master's in managing elite athletes, which is what he's doing, and he's doing it very well.
Reading
So
them a book
so yeah.
before bed, kissing them good night, and then stroking the head and like kissing the ear and all that.
Don't know what. I mean, he just
So,
talks about connections all the time, doesn't he? So, yeah, we have a great connection and all of this. But yeah, I think he's brilliant.
I tell you what,
Uh, you
I reckon he wins at noughts and crosses every time.
you'll
or
remember,
if
Lee,
not,
that
he's
I
not going to
was
get
I
beat.
was sticking up for him last year when we were losing all the games.
But there was
So,
a
so
difference. Go on, Jonathan.
yeah, I was going to say he has one above a master's. He's actually got a doctorate in sports psychology and biomechanics, of all things.
There you go. Well
But
then,
was there anybody who did a better job? I know Arteta won Manager of the Year. I think you could make a reasonable argument that Unai Emery, for how little the transfer budget was at Villa and how they finished, maybe did a better job. But
Iraola, Bournemouth, possibly. Yeah.
yeah, I think objectively speaking, I would put him second behind Emery for Manager of the Year. And it is remarkable, knock on wood, that for every opening, I think the Bournemouth job is just they just announced is opening up, but for every opening in France and here and other divisions, his name isn't even coming up. And I hope to God we can keep him because the record speaks for itself with how successful he's been. We're
Why do
so
you think
lucky
that's?
to have
Why do
him.
you think that is, Don Max? Why do you think his name's not
I
coming
don't
up?
have the slightest clue because if I were any of these big clubs, I'd be looking at him and say, look what he's done at Sunderland. Imagine if we give him a $300 million transfer budget.
I,
It's remarkable. I don't know.
I think the answer is he's probably told them he's not interested. I mean, the only people who've ever tried to drum up this idea that he wanted to leave was Talksport
Hmm.
because they got very excited about some rumor, and for audio listeners, I quoted there that he was, going to get fired. Not that he was wanting to leave, but that he was going to get fired if they finished below 10th or something, which is ridiculous. I mean, yes, you can look at the management and say, yes, they're ruthless, da 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 da, which they very much are, but they're ruthless because they want to win. And I think that, but they have common sense too. Like you can look and see what this man has done with this team and realize that there's no way you'd get rid of him at this point. So I just don't think he has that interest. I think what people forget too is that when he was managing in France, the last team he managed in France got relegated. So I'm sure that sticks in his craw quite a bit. And I think that kind of may be part of the reason why he's so committed. I just get the impression that he's really committed to this project, much like obviously with Granit Xhaka, I see the same sort of thing. I mean, people who talk about getting him leaving are deluding themselves, or they're followers of the other team north of Sunderland. And I just don't see that happening because I think they got convinced on the project, and that's what they're aiming to do. And I mean, it's like a lot of the players that you were like nailed on. These players are going to leave in a year, maybe even at the end of the year. Like I thought Roos was a dead sure sell on. I figured Siddiqui would be as well, just because of how well they did this year. But we made Europe, and all of a sudden now you're like, ooh, maybe it's not worth going away from this. I think the club has to be mindful of the fact that they could still make some money off of some of these guys, and maybe the money is worth losing the player. But I think at the same time, you could definitely argue to the player, if we give this another year, who knows where we get, and after that year, you're still probably a hot commodity and you played in Europe. Like, for a player like Roos, this is his second, which boggles my mind, his second full year as a professional.
Hmm.
Like, he's not exactly going to age out as a goalkeeper if he plays another year in Sunderland. And would you rather play here or would you rather back up some guy in Chelsea while they don't play European football?
Good point. Very good point. Dermot, I think one of the things last season was that we didn't really have the players in the squad to play the way that Lebris wanted to play. Right, I think so. We can all agree that some of the football last season was a bit turgid. No, I think like we were struggling to score goals as well last season at times. We have been struggling to score goals this season, but you can see there's a clear identity, and he's got the players to back it up. I think is that what you think is the key difference to our success this year?
Um, I think he's built built I was going to say built a squad, but he hasn't really because they brought in 14 players, but he still managed to keep a core of players who all played. I mean, last summer, the decisions they had to make were which of these players are going to be able to step up, and they've got it right with everyone. There's nobody. You could have argued last year, will Patrick Roberts make it? Will the Irish guy who went to Middlesbrough make
Alan
it?
Brown, yeah.
Brown, and they made quick decisions. I remember listening to the radio phone-ins this time last year, saying it was a bit hard on Brown. He maybe could have had a chance in the Premier League. It wasn't just the 14 signings that they brought in that they got right, or they got 12 out of 14 right at least. It was working out who could make it, and even keeping Luke O'Nien around to hang around and put in some of those performances he put in at the end of the season. That as well was a great decision. I'm sure Luke O'Nien would have had a chance to go on loan to a championship team. Um, Even the goalkeeper Patterson, for me, I thought Patterson was good enough to make the step up. I don't know much about goalkeepers. I think where he's lacking is using his feet, and straight away they knew Patterson wasn't going to be good enough for the Premier League, and they brought in Roofs, who played a lot less, as Jonathan mentioned, played a lot less football than Patterson's actually played as well, in any kind of level, and again they got that right as well. So it's also it's the play. What I'm trying to say is it's the players that played last year and have stepped up. Trey Hume, Dan Ballard, the new Enzo Lefebvre was going to be good enough for the Premier League, obviously. Even Wilson Isidore has, in his own way, contributed quite a bit for, minutes on the pitch. He scored a few goals. I would like to have seen him get a bit more time out of the three forwards. Mayenda hasn't really pushed on and hasn't contributed. He scored on the first day of the season. I would like to have seen a little bit more. But I think with this European football now as well, as was mentioned earlier, it changes everything as well because we got at least 8 extra games to give players more minutes. So now suddenly Wilson Isidore can stay around and get more minutes, come on off the bench and help Brian Brobby and play it a different way. And it's just going to help us. The qualifying for Europe is going to help us so much in keeping players who could possibly have gone off somewhere, and attracting better standard players as well.
Yeah. Max, on the topic of players and new players, obviously I think Granit Xhaka was probably number one signing of the season. But who for you is another key, or is the key signing for you that's basically contributed the most this season to the starting 11?
I think it has to be Roofs. I would have debated between Xhaka and Roofs for signing of the season. But Roofs was just outstanding this season. I think honorable mention to Siddiqui, honorable mention to Talbi. But ultimately, I'd say Roofs. The defense was so stout. He had some great saves. Not every game was perfect. The Forest game, he was on the hook for a few of those goals. But I think Pato would have been interesting to see how he would have done in the Prem. But I certainly agree that Roofs was stronger than he would have been. And I don't think this team is playing in Europe next year with Pato in goal or without Roofs in goal. What do you think?
No, I think Roos is going to be number one. Pato might have to stick around actually because we need like a certain quarter of homegrown players and UK based players. I think so. I think we've got to do a bit of shuffling around there.
I should have
Um,
included Robbie also. I don't know how I
yeah,
forgot.
yeah. Well, Brobby,
Well,
Mukiele,
Yeah, our
Reynildo. I
leading
mean,
scorer, leading scorer, and tough as nails.
can I just add Mukiele and Alderete?
Mm.
Because and that's it's because Max mentioned 4 or 5 and he's still missing out 2 or 3 great signings.
Fuck it, a lot
Because
of them.
Yeah.
there was
I think
8 or 9
of
fantastic signings.
in terms of value, dollar per dollar, I think Alderete was only 10 million pounds. That's probably the best value signing of the season. Him for 10 and Nordy was 12 or 15. I mean, those are incredible signings for that kind
I,
of money.
I think I got you one beat. Ronaldo was nothing.
Reynildo was nothing, yeah.
Oh, that's right. We got him on a free.
We're afraid,
We
but I
didn't
mean,
mention
like
Ronaldo,
the
yeah.
amount of players
Nope.
that we signed with European experience as well. Like Talbi
Yep.
played Champions League. I think Reynildo's played Champions League. Mukiele's played Champions. I mean, they've all played European football, so it was clearly a plan that they weren't fucking around this season. Anyway, lads, listen, we're going to take a short break and we're going to continue after, and we're going to look ahead to next season and the Europa League. So we'll speak a little bit about that. See you soon.
Hi, my name is Gianmarco. I'm from Italy. I've been supporting Sunderland since 2010. How are the lads?
Welcome back to part 2 then. So listen, before we get onto the next season in Europa League, etc., what I want to do, Max, which moment was bigger for you? The Volta-Mata own goal at the Stadium of Light or the Brobby winner at St. James's Park?
The Walter goal was the goal of the season. I mean, that's just a cracking header. Fantastic job by him. We ought to, whatever we signed Walter for, that was worth it. Talk about value. A goal for nothing. But the answer is the Brobby goal, not only because we were on the road, but we came back down 1-0 to come back 2-1. It's 10 seconds before extra time is over. It's the ultimate exclamation point on doubling up on Newcastle, the ultimate statement that, for years of them making fun of us when we were down in League One and Shearer and all the other idiots saying that there'd be 6 points from them this season and we'd be relegated by Christmas. Pardon my language, but it was the ultimate fuck you to those guys and anybody else who doubted the team either.
Couldn't have said any better than that. I think I'm going to stop the podcast there, Max. Like I can't top that, mate. And the thing is, like, I'm speechless now, Dermot.
I am too. To hear a North American put that in such succinct terms, to say fuck Shearer and all of that, that's brilliant. Yeah, you're right, Max. Everything you said there.
Hey, listen, Mark, we'll have to get a rendition of you singing Shearer's a Wanker song. Shearer.
I'm gonna make a trip. I haven't been to the Stadium of Late yet. I'm targeting spring of 27. My dad's gonna fly in from LA, and I'll send you a video of me singing "Sure as a Wanker" on Legends Way. Okay.
That's brilliant. Uh, right, what was I going to say? I was going to say, oh, listen, that goal, though, Dermot, I think that goal defined Voldemort's season because he was actually playing all right until then, and then like he basically turned to shit. But anyway,
He was
um,
never the same. He was never the same, and
he
he looked
wasn't.
depressed. Even when they won and they were showing pictures, he did not look like he wanted to be there. He was so depressed.
Well, that's why they needed Reggie Lebris in the dressing room because he's got a doctorate in sports psychology. He could have turned him around, but he didn't.
Yeah,
They had Beheady Howe, who
yeah.
for me just got worse and worse as the season went on.
I mean, Reggie could have like played with his curls, you know what I mean? Like give him like twirly whirlies in his hair, but no, he didn't. Dermot, for you, the bigger moment, the Robbie goal, the Enzo Lafite pass, the Mukiele
Oh,
cross,
that
the Reggie celebration.
those the last few minutes at St James's Park were amazing. I was we normally get together in Madrid. There's a few of us here, and we get together for some big games. The first game, the Voltemada header, we watched it in my house. There was about 6 or 7, 8 Magnums from Madrid here. Basically, there's 3 or 4 families of us really, and people come and watch it. But that second game, I watched it on my own, and I was shouting and screaming and effing and blinding. Those final minutes were brilliant because you could see it coming. We just gradually, even 1-0 down at half time, we were getting back in the game, and we were probably the better team before half time, and yeah, that second half was brilliant. It was one of well, it was the moment of the season, and that goal again with Enzo Lafite putting it through not one but 2 Newcastle defenders' legs. Um, just kind of summed up kind of our season and their season because they were just being lazy. They weren't getting back. Livramento, I think it was the fellow who did nothing in the box to try and stop Robbie. Um, it was just it was poetical, and it was great. And I think I mean they were on a bad run anyhow. No, they weren't. They just played Barcelona. They just
Yeah,
played Barcelona. Then they played us. We finished them off, and then they went and lost 4 or 5 more. I think they only won one more game from then till the end of the season. So yeah, psychologically we killed them with that,
yeah,
and that's why there's a decent gap between the two of us, and we're in Europe, and they're quite comfortably in the bottom half,
yeah. Jonathan, you've seen
possibly even
uh,
battling relegation.
good, good. Jonathan, you've seen a number of derby wins. I mean, you experienced the whole six in a row. Um, how do those two matches fare with the six in a row? Have you got a favourite out of all of them?
I mildly, now I'm trying to remember the manager's name. God, the little
Di Canio
Italian guy.
Poyet.
Vicanio.
Yes, DeCanio. When he's sliding across the grass, still lives in my mind rent free, because it was such a good game. And but I think the thing about these last two, the thing that really, for me, they mean so much more, I think, is that, or and the other one I could give an example to is when we send Ruud Hellet packing after in the rain in August of '99. But I think what makes it so much more worthwhile is having to deal with those idiots during the FA Cup and watch them rub it in and sit there and, oh, we're gonna kill you, blah blah blah. And having the guys that were there stand up to the team and say, hey, this is why this means so much. I mean, hell, it means a lot to us, let alone, to the audience watching us, to the fans, to the supporters who have given everything to this team. This is a game we can't afford to lose. And I think so much so that they reenacted the whole bit in front of the goal at the end of the game. Like, to me, that was one of those times when the players, the fans, The management all knew just how much this meant. And was the game boring if you were not a supporter? Yes, it was a boring game from everything I've seen and heard. For me, it was exciting and nail biting, but for everybody else, apparently it was boring. And if Valtamata is on the outs with Newcastle and he really needs a place to go, we could always use another striker to sit on the bench. Um, and we'd actually play him in the place he's supposed to be playing, not in the midfield like they did with him after, which was mind-boggling. So in that respect, I think that's where I think that these ones had so much more sentimentality because it had been so long. It had been, you know, years and years of them going on and on and on about how crap we were. And, Mackem in Milan. I can't wait to play AC Milan in the semifinal of the Europa League just to kind of rub it in a bit more. um, like to me, that's kind of where it stands out. That's where it feels so much more significant. And I mean, to the point now where I just call them the visitors. I don't refer to them in anything else now, pretty much. I just have no respect for them, the organization, the fans, for the behavior after, at the game at St. James. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you people? Like, grow up. We
Yeah.
don't do that kind of shit. Why the hell are you doing it? And it frustrated me because I'm like, what a bunch of boneheads and just fools, 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 fools. And I was never so happy to watch them lose twice, and I hope they continue to keep losing.
Dermot, you're absolutely loving this, aren't you? The North American lads really like giving it to the fucking max.
Brilliant.
Oh, I
pair of them.
freaking hate
Yeah.
them. So yeah.
Yeah, that's we've had Max having a go at Shearer and now Jonathan showing his true colours, and yeah. I mean, you just have to. Perry is just think yourself lucky you didn't have to grow up with him. I used to go through there quite a lot as a kid, and they don't like us. They really don't like us. They got a massive chip on the shoulder about Sunderland, and it's really hurting them now that we've come out on top in this year, and it's going to hurt them next season as well that we're in Europe and they're not,
and
because
and
that they're a regional capital. That they've got a very high opinion of themselves. And a very low opinion of the neighbouring city next door, and. It's a shame, really. Sometimes I think sometimes the North East should try and come together and work together a bit more together, because it's a region that needs to do as much as it can within England and within Great Britain to do well. But there is something between Sunderland and Newcastle, and it's great getting one over on them. Really is.
I really can't understand. And I mean, maybe this comes from the fact that I'm sort of used to being on the other end of this, where in a situation where you have one team who's been very successful and the other team that hasn't been, it's usually the other way around. Like it's usually the team that's struggling that's, the one most bitter and most upset. I've been in this before. I had a team that won 5 championships in 7 years, and the team that they kept beating to get it hated our guts. They still to this day hate the guts of my team, and they still, go on and on and on about it. I understand that. There's no reason other than just historical stuff, but there's no reason after like 50 years to still be like having this complex of like, oh, we got to beat Sunderland. Like, to me, that just shows how pathetic you are, in my
Oh,
opinion. Because if your entire life is built up on, oh, we lost a bunch of games to you 10 years ago. Oh no. Well, then you're a sad little mag who's crying in your bed at night, I guess, because it's going to continue next year.
go on there, Jonathan. And I think as well, like the fact that it goes back to the English Civil War in the 16th century, I think it was, Dermot. I mean, um,
Yeah,
right, I
yeah.
have to get this in as well because listen, after the Chelsea game, Ian from the German Black Cats, who's on the podcast regularly, he flew back to Germany from Sunderland North Airport, and guess who he was standing next to in the queue? Going to Germany, big old Nick Voldemar, and he said, "Thank you for the goal."
Oh, jeez.
and then he ran off. But then again, Ian is 73, so I don't know how fast he ran off. Max, anyway, next season, Europa League. We're not there to make up the numbers, are we not? We're there to compete.
Without question. Listen, this team has no fear. This manager has no fear. I'll be curious to see what we do in the transfer window in the summer to kind of bolster our depth. I'll be curious to see which of the players that maybe like Mayenda was discussed was thinking about maybe they would have left before. Now they're like, hey, they're going to need me for the depth. This team's not going to have any fear, and I'm excited to see what they can do. I hope everybody writes us off again. I hope everybody says that we're going to be exhausted from fixture congestion. I hope everybody says we're going to finish dead last in the Europa League and in the relegation zone, because all this club does is prove anybody wrong.
Absolutely, and I read a post today on, I think it was today or yesterday on X, saying that apparently the bookies have us third or fourth favourites to go down. It's like, Dermot, where are they getting this info from?
I don't know where to get that from. That's ridiculous because we've just come seventh, and we're only going to go from strength to strength. I think it will be a challenge in the Premier League to play on the Thursday and then play on a Sunday. It will be tough. Newcastle struggled last year, probably because of the Champions League, but that's the challenge. And all these people who were saying we're maybe too early to get into Europe. Same people were saying it was too early to get the Premier League last year, and I can never understand those arguments. It's high level sport. You got to go for as much as you can and compete at the highest level, and which is what we've done for the last season, and which is great. So long may it continue.
Yeah, Jonathan, what are your hopes for next season?
Well, I going back to this whole comparison about, oh, we're going to struggle, blah, blah, blah. We're not Nottingham Forest. We're not going to have 4 managers. That's why they were so bad. If they'd kept the first one, maybe they wouldn't have dropped so far. And Palace is Palace. They've always been kind of that way. So they got lucky and they won an FA Cup. That's, not the same. But for us, I think, could we fall back a bit? Yeah, I think 10th place would probably be likely. I think they could definitely challenge back for Europe again, depending on what happens, especially if they were to, not that I want this to happen, but say they got knocked out in the immediate group stages, then they'd have a lot of time to get back into the top part of the league, especially if the middle of the table is such a basket case as it was this year. I mean, there were so many times, I don't know about the rest of you, but there were so many times where I was like, okay, we're probably done. Once we lost to Fulham and we were losing that Nottingham Forest game, both times I was like, okay, we're probably not making Europe. And then all of a sudden it'd be like a game later and you're like, oh, we're right back in it. And just, it never ended all year. And that is the first time I can remember that it's been, and maybe it's just because I haven't really watched the Premier League a lot over the last few years because obvious reasons, but I can't remember it being so congested and so crazy and everybody just being within points of each other. If our stupid goal difference wasn't so bad, we may have even gone further up, I mean, it's just, it'll be interesting to see. I think next year will be better. I don't think we'll be worse. I think the team is there's going to be a lot of people that, you remember all these people that were crying about the fact we spent 150 million. Where did we get that money from? Blah, blah, blah. And, oh, did we break PSR and all this business? I think we're going to spend about 100 million again. I think when you look at the numbers, Sunderland was one of the lowest spending teams in the league. And they still have tons of reasonable money hanging about. So I just think they'll spend again. I think they'll pick up about 5 players and all of a sudden we'll go, where the hell did they find these guys? And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, these are great. These are the best. Because I honestly couldn't have named Habib Diarra in a lineup if you'd have mentioned it before he got signed. Same thing with Siddiqui and a few of the others. But yeah, within 5 minutes of watching them against West Ham, you're like, oh, wow, that's where they got signed. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how many players we've got by the time we get to the US and kind of where we're at that point, if we're still tinkering right up to the end like we were this year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Max, and we mentioned before about League One, right, where we're playing like Cheltenham and Morecambe. I mean, I think it is refreshing to see like teams like Brighton, Brentford, and Bournemouth, because they might be 3 teams that you hadn't heard of probably pre-2016. But I don't think it's not a coincidence that they're there and like that we're there, because I think we've kind of followed a similar model to them. We've looked at them and think, okay, listen, we went to League One, we hit rock bottom, and we had a clean, solid base, a clean base to build from. And I think that's what we've done, isn't it? We followed that kind of model, and it's nice to see teams like Chelsea, Newcastle, Tottenham, who think they are big teams, actually finish below us.
Every step it seems like we made was calculated. Tons of credit to Kirill, tons of credit to Christian Speakman as he built up the squad from League One to the Premier League. This is not an approach of we're going to outspend everybody and go spend $500 million on transfers. I mean, as it was discussed, even 150 million, which is certainly not chump change, was on the lower end, but the spending was smart. Ronaldo on a free, Xhaka for 17 million. I mean, our highest transfer was Diarra maybe at 30, and
Yeah,
you could make an argument that maybe he was one that didn't really work out. But the spending hasn't just been to spend. The spending has been smart. The spending has been to get guys that can buy into what we're doing here, right? I mean, look at Xhaka on the last day with the walk at the end and how he couldn't even get his speech out because everyone was cheering, we've got Granit Xhaka, and he looked like he was about to cry. So the steps have been calculated, correct, and the spending has been smart. And Bournemouth and Brighton are exactly the same model, 100% Lee.
Yeah. Dermot, go on then. Give us a name. One player that you think realistically we could sign to make our squad better. I've put you
I'll
on the
give you
spot
a
there,
name.
haven't I?
And Songo Bill, Deportivo centre forward, African, 21-year-old. He just came into the team at the end of the season, fired them up to the top league, but they won't be looking at him. And he'd be playing for Deportivo in the top league this year. There's one name. I'm not that up on football too much really, apart from the Spanish second division, which I watch every weekend for work.
You got your commentary notes there, haven't you?
Yeah. There is a fella at Almeria, Sergio Arribas, who there was talk that he scored a lot of goals from like a number 10 position, or he played out on the wing, or drifted in number 10, either central or he's not an out and out forward. He scored a lot of goals for Almeria, who haven't gone up. So yeah, maybe if they are fishing in the Spanish second division, those two names could be there. But I'm sure they've got loads more. And I think just going back to what Max was saying about 100 million, I think that is possibly realistic to spend 100 million on 3 or 4 quality players. But I also think if they do that, they'll be selling someone as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Siddiqui or I'll tell you what I said. I was at Everton the other week. Got back again. Got the last away game. I was at the first away game against Burnley, and I was at the last away game, and they played Everton. And it just occurred to me, if we're going to move to the next level, and there's talk about selling Roofs, who's a good goalkeeper, sell Roofs and put a bid in now for Jordan Pickford. The money you get for Roofs, what would you get? I've got a few Everton mates who I was talking to after the game. He said he'd sell Jordan Pickford to us for 50 million. This was after a few drinks, and I offered him 40. And so it's not. That's the kind of level we want to be talking at now. So
It wouldn't
that
be
could
it wouldn't be a bad shout, to have Pickford for a few years, because in the pipeline you've got Matty Young, who is a massive, massive prospect. I mean, I saw him when he was a couple of years ago when he was only 16 at the training ground. He was fucking massive. He looked like my dad. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like I could be his dad, but he looked like my dad.
And you got the Swedish fella as backup as well, or even Patterson, even still, who hasn't quite left the club. There's talk of Patterson going for 8 million this week. I think they do well if you get 8 million for him. So there's money coming in from places. You could sell Roofs, you could sell Siddiqui, you could sell. I'd be disappointed if somebody like Xhaka went, if Mukiele went, because I think they'd be going on to a higher club. They'd be going back to the Champions League
Wait,
clubs.
here's one, Dermot. Trey Hume, Real Madrid. Is that bollocks?
I think so, yeah. I don't know where that came from. I really don't see that happening, but who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows? But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just that just occurred to me at the Everton game. If we're going to move next level, sell Roofs, get in Pickford. I don't think that's a bad shout, but hey,
No.
that's just a mad guess.
All right. Well, Jonathan, for you, one signing, who would you sign?
So I've been looking at this a lot because I've been very curious about what options there are. So one suggestion I've seen, and I mean mostly because I've been hearing, much like with Pickford, I've been hearing that there was a lot of complaining about him, but I would take him to be Xhaka's backup, no problem, and that would be Jordan Henderson.
Hmm.
He would give us a trained in Sunderland player, so that would qualify under the European qualifications as one of our four. And if you crazily were able to add Pickford as well, which Everton would be insane, but if they're willing to do that, that's another one. And all of a sudden, you need two more players, which you can easily fill those gaps in with the guys we've already got. Like, I think realistically, I think we'll end up picking up some young players from either France or from Belgium or from Holland, Netherlands, or maybe Germany or somewhere, or maybe in Spain, because Gasalfi kind of has those connections. So it makes sense to me that that's where they're going to go. But they still do need some English players. They're still short on them. And I would be looking at some of the players that are, I wouldn't look at all of them, but it'd be tempting if you could get Bowen for a reasonable price. I would be
Took the
very
words out of my
tempted
mouth.
to do that.
That's what I was going to say was
Yeah.
Jared Bowen.
So that would
Yeah.
be the one I would definitely think about.
That's a good shout. Right, Max, before you jump in there, I want to know if you agree with me. KLD is good friends with Usman Dembele, PSG Champions League winner. I don't know if he's out of contract. I read something about, I don't know if he is. Could happen.
2 years. 2 years.
I mean, if he's still under contract, forget it. He's got to be a $200 million signing. And even if he's on a free, could we even afford his weekly wages? I mean, Lee, pass me whatever you're drinking, all right, brother. Let's back
Well,
let's back it up one
I'm
gear
doing
for
a
me.
sponsored drink here to like kind of fund it, but never mind.
you say it's daft, but it was Kirill who got Xhaka in apparently.
True,
Xhaka's Swiss
true.
Swiss captain, Kirill's Swiss. He's got some levers to pull. He's got a bit of swing at the top level. So yeah, I think Dembele's won the Champions League twice. He doesn't want to win that again, so he
He
might as
needs a
well
new
come and win the
challenge, doesn't
Europa
he? I
League
mean, yeah,
once.
I mean,
exactly. You know what I
well,
mean?
he's never won the Premier League. There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
Do a
But
Leicester, eh?
yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully better than a Leicester. Just gonna put that there.
I couldn't
We,
believe, like, last weekend they were celebrating 10 years since their
Mhm.
Premier League win, and they've just been relegated to League
Yep.
One. I thought that was very bizarre.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, but we're going to finish in a minute. But Max, pre-season tour is in USA this summer. Are you getting to any of the games?
Yes, I'm booked for Nashville against Liverpool. My dad's flying in from LA as well. If there's anyone here who's watching or on, I hope to get a chance to see you and pull back a pint in Nashville for the Liverpool game.
Well, spare your change, mate, because I think you paid what, $200 for the ticket, $150 for the ticket.
I think they were almost 200 a pop.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell. Yeah.
cheaper than the World Cup. I paid 450 for those.
Oh,
Oh
Christ.
boy.
Yeah. Well, enjoy that, and I'm sure that you'll meet plenty of people there, and you'll have a massive piss up and a good time.
Uh,
And go on, Jonathan.
one thing to add to that. Do you think that's going to be where the pink Elvis kit's going to come out?
No time like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Nashville, all the tie-ins with Elvis, I got to figure that's where it's going to come out.
that's a very good show.
Good
That's a
point.
very good show, isn't it? Yeah. I'll tell you what, Jonathan, we should get you a signed shirt with that pink Elvis shirt from
I'd
the
wear
players.
it. I'd wear it.
Yeah. Anyway, lads, thanks a lot for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Hasn't even started yet, but enjoy it. And how are the lads?
Oh, wait.
We're the lads.
Oh, well, lads.
Thank you.